Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man that is currently brandishing two switchblades while recording this episode. It's Adam Hodgins.
What is happening, my friend? I've been excited for episodes of Movies, Films, and Flicks before, but the anticipation going into Blind Fury with you, I think, is unmatched. I think.
You've been around since the 100s.
Yeah.
Of Movies, Films, and Flicks, and you've been talking about Blind Fury since the episode's 100s. So
yeah,
this is since 2018. Like, this is 5 years in the making.
Yeah, I think after our first Universal Soldier episode, you're like, what movies would you like to do in the future? And I think I threw down Blind Fury as one of my picks.
And listen, I'm so glad it happened. Kino Lorber released a new Blu-ray 4K for it, so I bought that. Had a new commentary on it. I get to watch this joyous 90-minute movie, less than 85-minute movie without the credits.
Right.
On a fantastic Kino Lorber Blu-ray. And I brought up Switchblades because I was thinking about it. This just dawned on me, Adam. I'm 40. You're around my age.
Yeah.
We watched the same movies growing up. We rented the same videotapes.
Yep.
You were in Canada, I'm in America. They still have the same movies. We grew up with Switchblades in cinema. I mean, I was looking around online. There's YouTube videos dedicated to Switchblades 84 to 89, 89 to 94. And I was
what's your most standout Switchblade scene in a movie?
Oh man, it's got to be Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors.
Okay.
Oh man, I forget her name, but she busts out her switchblades and she's like, and I'm bad. And then Freddy kills her with needle fingers, and it's horrifying. But that one always sticks out for me. But Adam, what's yours?
Michelle Pfeiffer in Dangerous Minds.
Yeah.
She's like, this is your future. And she takes the switchblade off the guy.
And she puts a leather jacket on and shows karate to everybody.
Yeah. But when that movie came out, it was like, this. If you have a troubled teen, take him to this movie. It'll straighten him out. It was the Juno of the 90s.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer will sort you out, everybody. Just go watch her. She'll do karate. She'll put on a leather jacket. I always tell my students that I'm not going to Dangerous Minds them, and they have no idea what I'm talking about when I say it. They're like, Mark, what's Dangerous Minds? Well, I'm not going to put on a leather jacket and do karate for you. And they're like, well, thank goodness. Yeah, you're not going to do that.
Is that an option? Okay, no, Mark.
So I'm looking at this list. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this list. Short Circuit has it. Bloodstone, Coming to America, Frantic, Hellraiser 2, The Naked Gun, The Abyss, Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, Harlem Nights, Heathers, Lean on Me, Miami Vice, Sweep Lake Camp, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, Internal Affairs, It, La Femme Nikita, Lord of the Flies, Mystery Science Theater, Revenge, The Fisher King, Highlander 2, Hudson Hawk, The Last Boy Scout, New Jack City, The Rocketeer, Showdown in Little Tokyo, Terminator 2. It's just, switchblades were everywhere.
Everywhere.
Did you own a switchblade?
Okay, so I was going to ask you, did you own the gimmick switchblade that was actually a comb?
Never. So we've talked about this. Did you?
I had the switchblade comb.
Got it. Because I love Better Off Dead. $2, and he busts it out and does his hair.
Yeah.
That's probably my second favorite all time switchblade or switch comb. But we talked about this in Desperado episode. Like, I went and bought throwing knives at a Florida flea market after watching Desperado. But I feel like I was so indoctrined in switchblades that I just never felt a need to own one. I didn't want to be like everyone else.
So switchblades are definitely illegal in Canada. You can't own them.
Oh.
It's a spring-loaded weapon. You can't do it. Also, I was like terrified of them. I just thought like, I don't understand the physics of that. I'll probably cut my fingers off.
Absolutely. I had a butterfly knife, but that felt a lot safer than a switchblade. A switchblade? Switchblade says I mean business.
So butterfly knives are illegal in Canada too, so it can't be spring or gravity revealed.
Oh.
So a butterfly is like a gravity operated knife, and so we can't have that.
I never used gravity. I just opened it with two hands. but not that I was knife fighting on the street like the Beat It video with Michael Jackson. But
I also say that the best part of Crystal Skull was LaBeouf's switchblade work.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
If you never visited America and you just watched American cinema, you would think everybody on the street had a switchblade.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm watching these movies. I'm going through the list. I'm like, switchblade, switchblade, switchblade. And this movie's no different. Everybody in the 80s had a switchblade.
Have you seen the movie Switchblade Sisters?
No, I have not. But yeah, you're right. I mean, everyone had a switchblade. Like Seven, Switchblade, Professional, The Specialist, 12 Monkeys, Casino, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Showgirls. There's one. From Dusk Till Dawn. Just Ransom. Like what's?
Yeah.
It's
amazing.
I feel like switchblades have done some pretty heavy lifting in cinema for a very long time, and we've never appreciated them.
It's instantly intimidating. Like if someone has a switchblade, it's not that they have a knife. It's like, oh, that guy had the gumption to go buy a switchblade, right? Like I equate a switchblade to the same thing with hiring a hitman. Like I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to get in the classifieds. We didn't have dark web back then.
No.
Like,
where do you get your switchblades from? Switchblade for us? Like I don't know.
You know what's crazy? I know you can put it in your pocket and hide it. That's the allure of it. But it's just if someone just pulled a knife on me without switching it, I feel like I wouldn't be afraid. But since someone pulls out a knife that's not there, and then it is.
Yeah, it's the closest to a lightsaber we can get.
Wow. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But also, do you want to put a spring-loaded blade in your pocket and trust you're not going to hit that button?
It's kind of like just putting a gun in your pants.
The gun in the front of the pants.
Yeah.
Like, who honestly does that?
I feel like you're living life on the edge. Like you know, if you're that person, you don't care. Imagine if someone had a switchblade and a gun in their pants and a switchblade in their pocket, and the switchblade went off, hit the trigger, and it shot you.
But I guarantee if a guy's got a switchblade and a front pants gun, he's also wearing the boot from Roadhouse with the blade on it.
Yeah, you can't trust that guy.
You can't trust that guy.
Can't trust that person.
No.
No. Yeah, that's
some things.
That's too much. You know those really rowdy people at the party? They wouldn't even hang out with that person.
No, you're like, oh, Steve's here with the blade in his boot. Oh, come on.
Don't sit next to him. Don't stand next to him. He's like,
Steve.
Oh gosh, watch out for his boot.
Yeah, he loves the boot. Won't shut up about the boot.
Yeah, you know what's switchblades were a very important part. Look at it, like every move. I'm going through this list. Everything has switchblade.
Yeah.
But I never wanted to buy one. I think you're right. I think I associated it with it's the lightsaber of our world. And
yeah.
If you own a switchblade, you're looking for trouble.
You want so here. It's like remember in 1999 when the first very few people got cell phones in high school,
mm-hmm.
and all they wanted to do was show you they had a cell phone.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason they brought it to school was so they could show you that, hey, look, I have a cell phone. No one else has one, so I can't call anybody, but I got the cell phone.
Oh, funny. Look at this.
Yeah, if you get a switchblade, all you want to do is pull it out and show people you got a switchblade. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, I guess I watched The Outsiders too many times. Everyone had switchblades in that movie.
Right.
Switchblades own switchblades in that movie.
It was either a switchblade or a large knife, like a Rambo knife. That's
mm-hmm.
what our childhood was. A knife, almost a sword, or a switchblade.
Yeah, we had Crocodile Dundee.
Yep.
Rambo.
Yep.
Hot Shots Part 2.
We had the Predator knife.
Yeah.
That thing is essentially a sword.
Yeah, that's really interesting. There's no middle ground. No one pulled out a Bowie knife.
Right? No, well, no one just pulled out like a regular knife, like a
Wusthof. Like no one had a Wusthof from a kitchen.
No, that wasn't until like Steven Seagal was the cook that kitchen knives became weapons.
Yeah, that's a great point. When kitchen knives became the thing.
Right.
That's when kitchen fights became the thing. That's when kitchen knives began being used.
If you want to go back to our final fight of both Under Siege movies, then you can still find some great kitchen knife fights there.
They're not even final fights. Steven Seagal just murders people.
Yeah, they're final murders.
But okay, we've come a long ways from Blind Fury, but I just had to get that off my chest.
I have a question about Blind Fury.
Yeah.
Before I suggested it, had you seen this movie?
No.
So that's my favorite thing. Like, you know how people look for their personal best? and they're like, oh, I want to go and golf, and I want to bowl my personal best. When I can pick a movie that Mark hasn't seen, I was like, oh boy, I'm catching a lot of credibility. And then when you call me, you're like, this was fun. I'm like, I did it. That's personal best.
This movie works because of Rutger Hauer.
He acts like this is on paper a bananas movie. And you read the script and you're like, this is a bananas movie. But Rutger shows up and he goes to work.
He puts the time in. And his earnestness is what makes this film work. If you didn't have his earnest performance, then this would just be a really lame Zatoichi remake. It would just be his earnestness in this. And if you're gonna hire Rutger Hauer for a movie, this isn't gonna be Blind Dating with Chris Pine, where he plays a blind guy who dates women. It's insane Blind Dating, by the way. You could tell Hauer cares. He cared about the sword fighting in this movie. He cared about the physical training for this movie. And I think that's why nowadays people still look back at it with joy, because of his performance. He took it seriously. And it's still a very silly movie, though. It
is. But here's a question for you. Remember Dolph Lundgren's Punisher film?
Mm-hmm.
If I told you, like, if you didn't know any better, and I said, Rutger Hauer is the Daredevil of that universe.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Like, it kind of just dovetails together. Like that to me is if that's what the Marvel Universe looks like, if the Punisher sets the stage, then Hauer could very easily be the Daredevil of that universe.
We need to talk about that movie anyway, because there's some great sword fighting in that movie.
Can I tell you a secret, Mark? I love equally, all as good, every version of the Punisher I've ever gotten.
I agree. Dolph Lundgren. I like Thomas Jane a lot. I love the Russian fight in that. And also, Punisher Warzone is one of the craziest movies I have ever seen in my life. He is stabbing heads. You have Dominic West doing that jigsaw with the worst accent ever. It's the bloodiest, most violent thing ever. Yeah, and it's glorious. And Ray Stevenson is just such a burly man.
Right.
And just running around. Yeah, all three of the Punishers are fun.
Looney Bin Jim?
Oh, gosh. Just throwing himself at glass.
Right.
It's a gnarly, gnarly movie. Hauer can do it.
The orderly he's eating his applesauce?
Oh, gosh.
Right?
Man, that movie just, oh my goodness.
It does some stuff.
Yeah, you got to be on its wavelength.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're not on that movie's wavelength, you're not.
But
Get away.
As I love that movie, I love the Lundgren one as much.
They're all three different, too.
Very, very different. And how do you not love Louis Gossett Jr.? How do you not love that guy?
Gotta love him.
Right?
Gotta love him.
So they're all great, and I love them all. But to go back, I think that you could easily change the poster of this movie, overdub the name to Matt Murdock, and have him go to legal school after this movie. Like he could easily be the Daredevil of that Marvel universe.
Ooh, legal school. I like it.
Yeah, not law school, legal school.
You know what my favorite part of this movie is? So he's in Vietnam. He gets blinded, and the locals sort of train him in the ways of seeing, and not seeing, but like his ears can move. So just training him in the ways of sensing. But what I love most is that when he's in Florida later, it's 20 years later. Like that's my favorite part, because I feel like most movies would be 3 months later.
Right. 1
year later.
This is a lifetime later.
Maybe 3 years later? But this one, 20 years later. And
so how old was Rutger in this movie?
I don't know, 40s? 40? 45?
Was 89, right?
Yeah. So he had to have been 40.
Rutger Hauer was born in 44.
Oh. So yeah.
So he was 45.
45. A spry 45.
A spry 45. So I think this wanted to age him up. So he was 25 in Vietnam, lost his vision. 20 years later, he's 45.
I love it. And that builds his credibility too. Because I hate those movies, Adam, where you and I both get injured, right? We both have catastrophic injuries. And then we go through one training montage. Then 1 month later, you and I are the bee's knees of the crime fighting world. Like we've trained through one montage in 1 month, off-screen training. This
What was
one,
that? What was that Seagal movie where he was in a coma?
Above the Law,
No, Hard to Kill.
Hard to Kill. He escapes killers in a hospital bed.
Yeah, with a paddle broom.
He was in a coma for 10 years.
He was in a coma for 10 years, and then 2 weeks later, he's like back on the street, spin kicking like no one.
A doctor fell in love with him while he was in a coma. That's peak ego of action.
When you're as sexy as Seagal, you don't even need to be conscious to woo the women.
Oh gosh. And then he did one training montage and he's back. So that's insulting to me. And listen, I know you got to speed it up, but
right.
This dude's been training for 20 years to sense, to feel, to know, to like that really adds to the believability as well. So he's very good at what he does. He knows how to get around. It's, I mean, if you're a filmmaker, right, at least that's not insulting the audience, right? I mean, having a non, like, everyone knows Hauer's not blind, but, have him say 20 years, you're like, okay, that seems right, I guess.
Yeah.
That is 20 years. And so it's not, but I mean, he does think an alligator is a dog. I mean, that happens in Florida. I did all the time, so never mind. But
he's playing that up. Like he's doing, again, the Daredevil thing of like, look how inept I am because I'm blind, right? Like the most visceral moment in the movie for me was when he bites on that rock. He's like, want some rock candy? And you hear like the of his, and you're like, oh, it hurts you. And then he wails that kid right between the eyes. And it's incredible.
He spits a rock in a child's face, and that kid deserved it.
Yeah, Brendan Call takes it right in the face.
Yep, step by steps, Brendan Call takes it right in the face. But this movie though, it's you know why I think it works for me is because it's just silly. It's a silly movie, and I love Lyle and I love Tector. I love the Pikes. I love that they're two idiot brothers. I'm not going to say the swear words on here, but they're like shoot fart. Like it's just a hilarious duo. But all the henchmen in this movie have such a personality. All the henchmen in these movies. And this movie, and it works.
Slag. His name is Slag.
Okay, you're a beefy villain, right? Right. Second in command. You're a large, beefy man who looks like Randall Tex Cobb. Okay?
Yeah.
Instead, your name is Adam Tex Hodgins.
Perfect.
And I'm Mark Tex Hoffmeyer.
Everybody's name is Tex.
What character name are you playing? You got Slag. Like what else, like who are you going to be known as?
I'm probably going to be known as Thump.
Thump? I'll probably just be called Spit.
Spit. Yeah. Spit and Thump.
Spit and Thump. You just thump people on top of the head and I just spit.
People say like, what kind of name is Thump? And I just pop right in the face. That's it. That's the only answer. Thump.
Like, if I was watching, I'd be like, why do you ask Thump what Thump means? Like,
don't make fun of a guy whose name is Thump.
It was Spin Kick mean. It's just
right? Like it's it. So, but do you want to know why you said you like this movie? I'm going to tell you why.
I was like, am I telling you why I like it, or are you telling me why I like it?
Mark, what was our first movie we did together on MFF?
Universal Soldier.
What's that guy's lead character's name?
Frank Devereaux.
Well, it's Luke Devereaux.
Oh, Luke Devereaux. Wait, where did I get Frank from?
This guy's name is Frank Devereaux.
Oh.
Terry O'Quinn is Frank Devereaux.
I just pulled some weird stuff. I just pulled from this movie.
Yeah.
Luke Devereaux.
Also, the bus gag that they do in both movies. Remember when Rutger Hauer leaves and the bus drives away and he vanishes?
Yeah.
And then outside the restaurant, the bus pulls away and there's all those cops there in Universal Soldier.
Oh, yeah.
They do the same bus gag in both movies, and they're Devereaux in both movies. So I think these movies are connected somehow, and I think that's why you like it so much.
I mean, I like road trip movies.
Yeah.
They're tripping.
Yeah.
They are traveling. This is a 44-hour trip it would take normally from Florida to Reno. So they're on that bus for a long time.
There's a lot of bus happenings going on.
And there's memorable henchmen. There's Slag, there's Spit, there's Thump.
Yeah.
And
I'll say this, as a kid, we talked about the Switchblades. We love Star Wars because of the lightsaber. There's a very memorable moment in this, or weapon in this movie. like the hidden stick sword, right? We got one of them with the Splinter action figure, so we were aware that they existed. But the hidden stick sword, to see it live on television, I remember being like blown away by that as a kid.
What was your first experience with this movie? I don't think we've ever talked about this. I mean, this is one of your favorites.
It's one of my favorites. So what would happen in our small town is I had an older sister, Kelly, and I had two older cousins, Tracy and Joelle. And so my cousins lived just down the road from us. And so on a Friday night, they would usually get together and watch a movie. And if they watched a movie they deemed okay for Adam to watch, they would bring it to our house. We would watch it before we returned it that night. And so this was one of those movies they said, like, we didn't love this movie, but Adam's going to love this movie. And so then it became one of my like common rentals.
Nice. Because it's so watchable.
It's effortless to watch. It's 88 minutes. And it's like, it reminds me a little bit of the Beastmaster in that it has that pacing where it's like beat, 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 and you're done.
That's it. It's
right?
Propulsive, and it just keeps moving forward. And also what's nice about it is you're in Florida, they're going to Reno. That's it.
Yep.
Then they get to Reno.
Yep.
And then they have a shootout. It's a very simple film to follow. It also, there's not much, like Terry O'Quinn is just a good dude when he gets there. He's not an undercover agent. There are no undercover agents in this movie. There's no plot twists. There's no, the kid doesn't get run away and kidnapped by somebody. He does, but you know what I mean. Like in the beginning in the middle of the movie, it's such a simple picture, and it ends happy. Like it doesn't end on a down. But
I love that the dad was a good guy. It wasn't like Lionheart where the dad dies and it's like a tragic story, right? It's very much like, oh, it's my dad, and I can be happy with him now, right? It's not like, yeah, and he's into drugs and he's, it's not that Hauer was the hero and everybody else was lame. It's like Hauer was a hero in a story with many heroes. Exactly.
And Jean-Claude Van Damme, he'll go AWOL from the military. Then he has the military chasing him too. He's right. There's subplots on the plot that aren't. This one doesn't have that. No one's hunting after Nick Parker. Nick Parker's just on his way. There is the cornfield action scene where a guy's eating popcorn in a cornfield. That's one of the greatest all-time visuals of all time. Like one of the all-time greatest visuals of all time.
That makes sense to me.
I mean, I love that moment. It breezes forward. There's never, but I guess it has some zany characters, so it can be memorable, and it also features a man's testicles being sliced in half.
Yeah, which is great.
And Slag gets cut in half and falls about 2 miles. There's some violence in this movie.
There's some great sword slicing going on.
Like Lyle and Tector are from a different movie completely.
Yeah, but speaking of violence, there's incredible squib work in this movie.
Oh, a lot of great squib work.
Right? Like those shotgun blasts to the mom. Like there's like on point squib work.
She just gets shot. Meg Foster just gets shot in the beginning.
Right?
Man. And then he has to go on the run with Billy.
Right.
There is good squib work.
Yeah.
Everyone sells it.
Meg Foster, who played Evelyn in Masters of the Universe, everybody thinks that she wore contact lenses in that movie to look more evil. She just has crazy eyes.
Yeah.
And so when she had the crazy eyes in this movie, I was like, oh, look it's the crazy eye lady. As a kid, I was like, why are?
And then also too, what she was in They Live as well. Mm-hmm. So I mean, she's got some crazy. But I was like, oh, she shows up. She'll be a major character. Nope, she is not a major character. But I do think a lot of props needs to go to Phillip Noyce, the director, for just making this is a dude who directed Clear and Present Danger, Sliver, Patriot Games. He did the Hitchhiker TV show. He did Dead Calm. Like that's a pretty big movie. And he jumped over and made this action comedy that it's very earnest though. I can see why this movie didn't, this was supposed to get, I listened to the commentary, this was supposed to get a much wider release, but then they only dropped it into 353 screens in the States.
Huh.
And so it only made 3.5 million because they just lost faith in it
Oh,
at
you
the
gotta
end.
have Hauer. Always believe in Hauer.
And but it's such an amiable movie. But the problem is, this is 89. I mean, this is when Schwarzenegger, Predator had come out, Terminator had come
The
out.
summer of Batman.
Yeah, Batman had come out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had come out. So you watch this movie that's quite unconventional. It's free of, someone called it free of pathos, which I guess can make sense. Like there's no sadness, right? There's no any of that. I mean, he does cry at the end and it hits you pretty hard, but it's just a nice movie. But in a year of Roadhouse, Black Rain, Lethal Weapon 2, Next
Yeah.
of Kin, Tango and Cash,
Oh, yeah.
Blue Steel, this is a movie that wasn't cool.
It wasn't cool. But speaking of him crying at the end, I was convinced as a kid that he got his sight back when he cried. Because he was like, oh, like I can't cry because I have a... And he cried and I was like, he's going to get his sight back. And my mom was like, no, he's not. He's just crying. He's still blind.
I picture you being real. You know what? I've gotten so used to you with that beard. When I think of 9-year-old Adam, I think of you with a beard.
Just 9-year-old bearded Adam.
Yeah, like you're little, but
Yeah,
you have a beard. I'm just letting no one ever here has probably seen Adam, except for Phil and Megan and a couple other people, anybody from Comic Cons. But yeah, I picture you with. But do you think like Kickboxer came out this year, and so you have License to Kill, the more serious Bond movie, Cyborg. I think that you have this more violent, gritty, mature film.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, this movie's score is bonkers. It figures Rutger Hauer driving blind. There's a lot of gags in this movie. It's very cheeky, but I feel like it kind of missed. A couple years earlier, maybe.
If it came out this year on Netflix,
it would be enjoyable.
A great straight to Netflix movie, it'd be a hit. It'd be like a breakout hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I think in a like I say, in a summer of just blockbusters everywhere, I don't think there's room for an earnest little picture.
It's even Turner and Hooch, which is a cop movie. The dog died.
Yeah,
like this movie, the dog doesn't die. It just like
when we first got Disney Plus, we would do a Saturday night family movie night, and so my wife was like, "Oh, Turner and Hooch," and so we had forgot that the dog dies because it gets lost in the plethora of 80s cop and dog movies.
K9,
Top Dog.
Top Dog.
And so we're watching it, and this dog gets shot at the end. Spoiler alert for the movie that was 35 years old. And my daughter just wells up, and my wife, bless her soul, says, Aislinn, I promise you the dog is not going to die. And then that movie just fades to black, and that dog is straight up dead. And the vet looks at him and just shakes his head no. And she's like, you promised me the dog. And then she's like, but look, there's Hooch puppies. And she's like, I don't care about the puppies. They should have killed that dog.
That's a brutal ending.
Yeah.
For that movie. This doesn't have it. This has it has a jacuzzi fight, which is pretty great. It has a drum fight. It has Terry O'Quinn throwing
everything.
It has Kasugi showing up, Ninja 3's, one of the greatest all ninjas of all time. I was just reading up on him before we came in here and popping up for a quick jacuzzi fight with swords. And it's
Bruce Lee's cousin.
And then it ends with, get me Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's dead. Then get me his brother. The lines in this movie are insane. But yeah, it's just a nice cheeky. You have to be in on it though. Like everyone knew that Rutger Hauer. You should listen to our Lady Hawk episode, by the way, where Adam and I talk about that's when our henchmen first came about for this. I have a question. How would Nick Parker take us out? Because in this movie, there's a lot of pairs. You have the suited, beefy pair. You have the
Yeah.
idiot brother pair. You have the cops upstairs pair. Like you have duos in this movie that are very memorable, and a lot of them have Uzis. Now, I have a question before we get into our henchman pair. You're a
Yeah,
crime lord.
Mm.
First and foremost, how do you get that many Uzis? But I wouldn't give my henchmen Uzis. I would just be like, here's a 45. Like, an Uzi, just it seems like overkill for a henchman.
So I would give all of my henchmen 30-30 rifles because I think they look classy, and I want to be a classier kind of criminal.
And you can't like you gotta be somewhat careful with them. I feel like an Uzi,
Yeah.
you're just in the hallway.
So many the rounds per hit ratio.
He had 3 people directly behind him and they all missed. So it's I would not give my guys Uzis, my people Uzis at all. But yeah, so you and I, we're your Thump, I'm Spit.
Yeah.
And we are, where do we battle Nick Parker first and foremost? Are we in the gondola? Are we in the ski resort? Are we in Reno? Where are we?
So we're in a deleted scene. But we're in Reno.
Okay.
but it's a like pay parking lot.
Yeah.
So we're in there with a lot of parked cars.
I like that.
And
how do we go down?
Yeah. So I think how we go down is because we're we are in this world, we're top tier.
Yeah.
Henchmen. So we are like cream of the crop. So I think that we don't underestimate Nick Parker. We go in there. We've got our 30-30 and you've got your 45. And, we're doing things right, but there's all these cars, right? There's all these cars. And so we see him, we take some shots at him. He ducks and rolls under the car. And as we're looking for him, cuts our ankles with his sword.
Oh.
And then when you can't stand, you can't fight.
Does he get all 4 of our Achilles or just 2?
He gets one each.
One each. He's that good.
He's that good. He doesn't want to kill us for life. And I don't think he kills us. I think he just let our henchman days are over with no feet.
Yeah. You can't be a one Achilled henchman.
No.
Because you got to run. You got to walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't do it.
Thunder.
But what would we do after that?
Well, I think what we would do after that is we would sue the parking lot company because we got hurt on their property, which means it was unsafe. They were inadequate security there. We would take the money we got from that lawsuit and buy our own parking lot, and then we would charge people to park in Reno.
Wow. That'd be a great idea. So we would start a parking lot war with that parking lot, and we would beat him out. Yeah,
because we would sue him, so we know he's not got a lot of liquid cash because we've taken him for everything he's got, and then we would just open it across the road from him, and we'd make it a gimmicky thing. We'd be like, park and wash. So come get your car, park it here. We'll also wash it.
Early bird specials,
that kind of thing. We'd have a buffet, an outdoor buffet.
Yeah, gotta do it. Gotta do the outdoor buffet.
Right? We'd be cooking mountain burgers.
From Cliffhanger, a couple slot machines out there. We would actually turn our parking lot into a casino.
Yeah.
Park and gamble.
Yeah.
Whoa.
We call it park and win.
Park and win?
Because you could win free parking.
Whoa. Yeah. Everyone who pays gets to spin the wheel for a chance at a prize.
The wheel. That forget all the other stuff we did. That's just a gimmick. I think this is a real gimmick. You come in, you have a 1 in 30 chance with the wheel, maybe free parking.
Wow. We're cleaning up. That's worth a limp.
Right? But so you have 2 parking lots, exactly the same price, but I might be free there if I spin the wheel. I'm parking at the wheel place.
And it's gambling anyway. You're in Reno.
Yeah, who cares? It's Reno.
Yeah, we could clean it out. Be like, this insane swordsman cut our Achilles.
Yeah.
In your parking lot.
What are you going to do about it? Rick's parking garage?
Oh, no, it's thump and spit.
Yeah. Right? I don't have an Achilles, but I can still punch you. You know what I mean? Come on. What are we talking about here?
You just took us so we worked our way up. We're reasonably well taken care of henchmen, but now we've just become legitimate business owners.
Yeah, we've gone the straight and narrow.
Wow. And Are we though?
No, we're clearly on the take underneath. Like it's not a
We're
legit
we're
business.
laundering so much money.
Yeah, through the parking spin.
Wow. You know how much
Right.
cash is in there?
So there's always money in a parking
We
spin.
also have the buffet. We have all that.
Yeah,
You're right.
it's,
We
it's,
put up
it's
boxing rings at night.
now
Do
we're talking.
sporting events.
Yeah, we do like Lionheart style boxing events at night.
Wow. We get cover bands of like Bon Jovi to come
Right.
in and do a show in our
Tonight,
parking lot.
there's the band Living on a Prayer at the parking spin.
And you can listen and gamble.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's all it is.
And if you show up, you could potentially get a refund on the tickets you bought. You have a 1 in 30 chance.
Well, spin the wheel.
Wow.
Always spin the wheel. But the wheel's rigged. Nobody wins, Mark.
No. We have magnets.
Yeah. Is it magic or magnets? That's a raw deal, right? Is that the reference I'm making?
But this is what we do, though. We put the music really loud so that Nick Parker can't hear the magnets stopping it.
Right.
No, we got to have people win occasionally.
Yeah, but our plants.
Oh. Interesting. So yeah, we got to show people winning. Wow. We're millionaires. Why are we
Overnight.
even podcasting anymore?
I know. We gotta just make this happen.
That became so real that became our lives.
No, it went from a gimmick to like, I'm looking for vacant parking lots in my area.
The Greater Toronto area is going to be booming. And if you listen to our Collateral episode, Phil Briggs and Phil can park his limousines there that we talked about during that episode.
I love that idea. I'm sure Phil will be in.
Oh man, we got to.
Remember what episode was it? We kept asking Phil how he would recommend we launder money.
Yeah.
But he's for a financial company, so he's like, I don't want to answer that question. Like, I know you guys are joking, but I don't want to be on record telling you what to do.
Was it 12 rounds?
It was 12
Or
rounds.
walking tall?
I think it was 12 rounds. It was like, he was getting like very friendly, uncomfortable.
Guys, stop asking me about laundering money.
Yeah, I can't. I don't want to say anything.
Wow. And listen to our Walking Tall episode as well. That episode's doing well.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't it? It's got The Rock.
And we talked about what weapons we would use. We always talk about weapons on our podcast.
Weapons are like a staple of when you and I chat.
Is it because we grew up in the 80s and 90s in relative country areas?
Yeah, I think as a kid, like a weapon gave you a sense of power that you don't normally have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, and yeah, I think, and we had cool weapons when we were kids. Like there was the He-Man sword, there was the Cat sword, there was lightsabers. Like weapons were awesome. The Ninja Turtles, everybody had a favorite weapon from the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Right? I think things are just too generic these days. These kids don't know what favorite weapons are.
Every toy had, like every cartoon had toys with weapons.
Yeah.
So
killing each other on their heads.
We grew up with just pew pew kind of stuff.
All the time.
Wow.
Right?
We're really figuring ourselves out tonight.
We're breaking it down here.
Yeah.
You know, it's good stuff.
It's good. Now tell me about something. You have the show GoFigure. You just crossed 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, we're making some milestones.
You're gonna be able to afford that parking lot soon. You just released the wonderful Thundercats episode, which I really like. I still like the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves one a lot.
So Robin Hood Part 2 is coming up in a week or two.
That was good. So what Adam did was there was a Robin Hood 1 toy line, version 1, release 1.
One wave of toys.
First wave. They never did a second one.
Right.
So then you kind of took one of the Robin Hood and made a second wave.
There was an image of what was going to be the proposed second toy line. So I took that image and I said, I'm just going to make them. So I made every character except for King Richard because I had to do a little more research on the King Richard figure. And as of right now, I'm just finishing up the B-roll on that video. So we're going to have a King Richard Part 2 coming up soon.
I remember Megan just sat down on the couch watching that with me. She's like, this is really cool. So she also said that about your Thundercats episode. She was really into the 3D printing.
I love that's my favorite reaction to my show is when people are like, oh, he's just fixing toys. And then they're like, this is actually enjoyable. I'm like, yeah, like anything can be enjoyable if it's done well.
Well, I mean, think about it. How many toys do you have emotional attachment with, or figures? I'm sorry if I'm saying toys. I'm not trying to be reductive. But
No.
it's where you love them, but they're old, or they're falling apart, or they're missing a weapon.
Yep.
They're missing something. You figured out how to make those.
So the whole concept of the show was based on Marshall Bravestar, because I said there is an infinite number of Marshall Bravestars who have lost their hat versus how many would have a hat complete on a shelf. So either all those Bravestars without a hat are garbage, or we figured out a way to make them a new hat and we put them on the shelf. And so that's been the thing. It's like, how do you just rescue those old toys? And yeah, like it's funny. I don't know if this happened to you, but watching the Toy Story movies when they came out, I was too old for them to be like for me, right? Like I was in grade 9 when Toy Story came out, and I was in grade 10 or 11 when Toy Story 2 came out. But those movies, like, they just hit home for you. Like, they're just like, this reminds me of my childhood. This is where it's at. And that idea of like in Toy Story 2, like the toys being thrown away because they're not complete and they're not mint on card and they're not display ready. I'm like, we need to make them display ready. We need to rescue them, Mark. They need to be whole again. So yeah, it's great.
So what is the Blind Fury toy line?
So,
What's wave 1? Hey.
Now you're talking my language. So thinking in terms of in 1989, what was out for toys. So let's liken it to the Batman.
Those are huge.
Right? When those came out, they were everywhere. Those gold cards were everywhere. Now, very limited character selection. There's only 3 characters, but then there was a vehicle, and there was a play set, and there was a couple different vehicles. So I'm going to go more. I'm going to say we're going to do five figures, and then we're going to do 1 play set and 1 vehicle, as I think would be a good roll-up for wave 1. So the 5 figures would be, first off, you would get your basic Nick Parker figure. It would be Nick. He would have like a spring action in the waist, so kind of like a He-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Swing. He'd have, he would not be in his coat. He would just be in his like pants and his shirt. And he'd have the sword that was hidden. His sword would have a sheath, and it'd be a stick or a sword. And so it'd be like, slash attack Nick Parker is what that would be.
Oh, I love it.
You would then get Sho Kasuga, the assassin. So he would be the second character because he would have the same slash attack sword action.
You got a villain to fight against. You need that.
Villain to fight against. So you'd have that. And then you would have the Pike brothers would be the other 2 figures.
Oh.
But they would have, like, remember the superpowers? You'd squeeze their legs and their arms would move?
Yeah.
So they'd have a squeeze leg quick draw with the double Uzis. They both have double Uzis.
They shoot each other.
Yeah, and you could shoot them. But only one would come on a card. So Lyle would come on the card. So it'd be twist action Nick Parker. It would be the assassin. And it would be Lyle would come on those 3 would come on the cards. You would then get Terry O'Quinn as a figure.
Frank.
Right? Frank. You would get him as a tertiary character. He's not going to get in a lot of battles, but he's there to add a little story. And
Dynamite? Would he have dynamite or flares?
Yeah, he'd have like his one arm would go back and he'd throw flares. Like it'd be like spring action, flare throwing actions. And then you would have a second Nick Parker called Uncle Nick. And that one would have the coat on, the long coat. He would have the same sword and the stick, the same accessory, but he would have like a snapback arm action, just like not a waist twist, but just like an arm twist. But he would come with a small slug figure. So remember when the first line of Thundercats came out, Tigra and Chitara came with Wily Kit and Wily Cat, but they were just like figurines. They weren't articulated. So he would come with a non-articulated slug Brendan Call figure. So it'd be Uncle Nick. So it'd be Nick, and then the kid is with him. Right? So that would be your 5 figures. And then Tector Pike would come with a pickup truck vehicle.
Oh my goodness.
They could abduct Billy, right?
Oh, I see it all in my head.
See it all in your head. And then it would have an action where his his bumpers and stuff would slice off. You'd push a button on top and then things would slice off of him. So you could have like Nick slicing the car apart. with his sword. And then the play set would be a casino floor. And then that way all like the slot machines and stuff could have breakaway action. You could throw people into them. It'd be a great place for your figures to battle. So that's the toy line I would release for wave 1 of the Blind Fury toy line.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Because you could have they steal the kid. Terry
Right.
O'Quinn and Nick go after him. But then there's 3 villains. And there's different levels.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah, you have 3 villains. You have 3 heroes. Well, 2 heroes, but 3 if you count Brendan Call. You have 2 options for the main hero. And but you have story, right? You have the truck, you have the vehicle, you have the destination. It's that's what I would sell as a wave 1 for Blind Fury.
Oh, that's amazing. And 89 was pretty good years for toys. They had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle line with Casey Jones, the rabbit, the rock guy, the alligator, the frog, Kang. There's some pretty cool toys in 89, and I see this one coming out. I see it. What a great toy. That's why I like asking you these questions, because I always see it. You bring a certain you just understand figures and you understand releases. You understand waves.
I love them. I love action figures and logic behind it. But I would say 89 and the Batman line really changed action figures forever, because what happened was the Batman figures came out and then DC didn't like them. So they pulled the license really quick away from Sharon or Toy Biz and gave it back to Kenner. Oh. And then because they had the infrastructure there, they used to kind of deal with Marvel. We said we want to make Marvel toys. And so that's when the Marvel figures came out, the Toy Biz Marvel figures. I think if you remember, Spider-Man had suction cups on his hands.
Yeah.
That one. So all of a sudden you had DC and Marvel figures that were exactly in scale to play with together. And then after the second line of Toy Biz Marvel figures, because they love Marvel so much, they cut a deal and they said, we'll let you buy, Marvel was going to buy a portion of Toy Biz, the company. And in return, Toy Biz would not have to pay any royalties for any character they wanted to use, which cut the production way down. So then the X-Men toy line came out. Remember the Toy Biz X-Men line?
Yeah, I do.
And it was, they
were
made
cool.
all kinds of deep characters because they didn't pay any royalties for them. So then that eventually became what we have known as like Marvel Legends. That's the evolution of that Toy Biz toy line.
They had some deep cuts in there too, like Bishop, right? And then they had the lizard guy, Cyclops, Juggernaut, everybody. Anybody
who ever appeared on that comic book or in that show was a figure. Like, it was nuts.
I remember these. Yeah, that was such a deep line.
Yeah, and for years it went on, and eventually it morphed into Toy Biz Classics, which became Toy Biz Marvel Legends, which is now where we are. That line's still going. So I think that was a watershed year for action figures. It really turned a corner.
Oh gosh! Now, before we get out of here, we gotta talk about the movie a little bit more.
I love this.
So let's talk about our 5 favorite moments.
Okay, 5 favorite moments, and then I'm gonna pitch you something.
Okay.
So
what is give me your 5 favorite moments. I'll let you go first.
First favorite moment was the first time you see him reveal the sword. When he just pulls it up and you see that shine. Because I remember as a kid thinking, oh man, things are going to get real.
Mm-hmm.
And it did. So it was a great little here we go.
Beautiful moment. Okay. My 5th is, I can't say it out loud, but I love the crap fart. Like it's so stupid, but that's the movie though. That's what I love about it. And I love that they say that. It's more expletive, but I just dig that line. It just makes me so happy. So that's my number 5.
Beautiful. I love the nice doggy, and it's an alligator. I love the alligator dog bit.
Oh man. That's so good. All right. I'm going to get the one where I get the window seat. You don't need it. You're blind.
Yeah, there was a lot of insensitive blind jokes.
Yeah, that kid goes at him hard, man. But when he says that, I will say that the kid is good. Brendan Call is good in this. And
he's acting. He's in a prop.
The relationship between the two of them is real. You could tell they like each other. So that really builds the movie. All right, so that's my number 4. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is, this is going to sound brutal, Mark, and I'm sorry that I might offend some people. But when Meg Foster gets shot, the squib work is so good. Like, it just visually, like, you're like, that's a brutal killing.
Yeah.
It really solidifies those guys as villains.
It's a great gag. The special effects group pulled it off.
Yeah.
Now, there's a scene where I have it in my notes. I got to find the exact quotes, but he jumps up on a table and okay, I have it. I have it here in red. Let's see. Where is it? One of those. Okay, he says something about. So he asks. Okay, basically what he does is he slices a guy's eyebrows off, just his eyebrows. Then he's like, "You're gonna need some aspirin for that headache." What headache? And then he jumps up on this guy's desk and just punches him right in the face and knocks him unconscious. And I have it in my notes, the exact line, but I have 4 or 5 pages of notes right here, so you don't need to hear me digging through it. But yeah, he just jumps up and aspirin. And he's like, yeah, because he just punches him right in the face and knocks him unconscious. So that's my number 3. It's just, he slices dude's eyebrows off. Come on now.
So for me, number 2 is the rock spit.
Yeah.
It's such a payoff. Just
Ding.
nails him. And Brendan Call sells it so well.
He's bummed out about it. Like, that hurts.
Yeah.
That really hurts. I love that scene. Okay, so for me, it's just when that guy's eating popcorn in the cornfield during the cornfield action scene, because it's stupid, but it's funny, and they actually did it, and it makes me so happy. So yeah, I would say that.
All right, my number 1 moment, this is going to sound cheesy, is the dinosaur catch.
Beginning or end?
The end. At the end, he throws it off the bridge and he catches it.
This movie's almost bookended by dinosaur catches.
It is almost bookended by dinosaur catches, but it's a great callback, and it hits you in the feels. Like, as silly as this movie is, it hits you in the feels.
I felt it. I really did. When he starts crying, I was like, oh. So I've been doing this research assignment where I have to watch these 4 actors, all their movies. And as a bonus, I'm trying to find their crying scenes for all the videos. And some of them aren't great at crying. But this Rutger Hauer moment, when that tear, oh my gosh, it's so good. I think my favorite moment, it's quite devious. He's being chased by all these gunmen with Uzis. And he goes into this room and he finds a drum kick and he starts hitting the bass drum. He hits the bass drum by accident. And then he starts talking into the thing, and then he just kills everybody in the room and he slices the guy's balls. But it's quite a devious little moment. And this is a bonkers film. It really is. And it's like you said, it's 88 minutes. It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, super breezy. And you're not going to find a more committed lead at all. Ever. No. It's a good remake, too. It's a fun little remake. Tim Matheson really wanted to make this. So.
But here's my pitch for you, Mark.
Oh, no.
No. And I just want you to, as much as I love this movie, I think this is a better television show. Where Rutger Hauer goes week to week, finds like a new kid, kind of like the Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Finds like a new kid or a family or a widow or something. He just helps somebody with his blindness and his swordness, and you just tell that story again and again. You have him looking for Frank for all of season 1.
Oh.
Right, and then season 2 there's another. But I think this character and this narrative is a better TV show. So now my question for you is, and not a TV show that you binge, a TV show that's released weekly, because it's a weekly adventure, because it's going to be very formulaic, kind of like The Littlest Hobo. Do you know The Littlest Hobo?
Mm-mm.
Oh, there's a Canadian show about a dog who goes and helps people called The Littlest Hobo. It's where Mike Myers got his start.
Really?
Fantastic. And by fantastic, I mean I liked it a lot when I was a kid, and not much else was on. But so here's my question. So we're gonna pitch this to ABC, Blind Fury, the TV show. In 2023, who plays Nick Parker?
Not Chris Pine. I saw him in Blind Dating. He was not good in that.
Not Chris Pine.
I mean, I think Chris Pine's great, but if you watch Blind Dating, there's this entire scene where he pretends like he can see.
Yep.
So that this woman believes that he's not blind. And it's just, Chris Pine, why? Why do this, man? Why? Not Jared Leto, because he went full in character for Blade Runner 2049. So I just don't want him doing that all the time. It has to be someone who's committed. I feel like Florence Pugh would do a good job, but she wouldn't do TV. I don't know why she came to my brain, but I think she would nail it. It would have to be someone very committed, super earnest. But it also works though, because if you think about TV, it's always like the mystery writer joins a cop. There's always a great doctor who's cynical. There's
Yeah.
always the writer who becomes a magician, helps the cops. Like there's always a gimmick.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can do this. Let's see. Who would be, so they would have to want to do a network television show first and
Right.
foremost.
Yeah.
Are we talking Hulu? Like what channel are we? I really got to narrow it down here. Like what are they on?
It's gonna be on Paramount Plus.
Okay, so Taylor Sheridan's doing it. He does Yellowstone. He does 1923, Mayor of Kingstown, Tulsa King.
Right. Tulsa King is beauty, by the way.
I had a guy who works with him a lot, but I'm not going to say his name because of a recent accident. I feel terrible for him. So I would have to say, you know what? He worked with him on Hell or High Water. So I'm going to say Ben Foster.
Ben Foster is a great pick. My original pick was going to be Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy.
Mm.
But then, and I wrote it down so I didn't want to think I was copying you or coming after you, but this was my original pick.
Jake Busey.
Jake Busey. He'd be about the right age, right? That 45-year-old. You don't need a young hero. He needs to be like a vet. He was blinded in Afghanistan. And I think Jake Busey could pull it off.
We just need an actor who is so committed.
Yeah.
And would play it so straight.
Yeah, this isn't a joke to him.
No. Well, I like it. I see it.
Yeah.
That was good.
I think Blind Fury, the TV show, would be a hit.
Be big. I mean, Taylor Sheridan, everything he does blows up right now. Is Yellowstone popular in Canada?
Oh, huge in Canada. Huge.
I mean, I think it's the biggest show in the States.
Yeah.
He struck gold.
Well, to have 2 spin-offs.
Yeah.
As well as the thing still going on, like it's crazy.
And get a spin-off with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren, and to pull Jeremy Renner and Sylvester Stallone. Like,
right.
What do you do? Sheridan, you know what's crazy? He was an actor, you know this, on Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
He wanted to write his first screenplay, so his wife maxed out her credit card and got him Final Draft to write his screenplays on. They were living in an apartment, and she maxed out her credit cards to get him Final Draft. And now he's blowing up. That's where he was, and now he's the guy.
That's like Stallone selling his dog to make Rocky.
Oh, man. Well, what are we going to have to sell?
I got some ideas, like intellectual properties.
All right, so hey, real quick before we get out of here, you know I love my drafts. So let's do a 1989 draft, but action movies, but not the major ones.
Okay, so B level.
Yeah. Like Next of Kin would be a B level. So I don't want to do no Batman or Indiana Jones. Like I want to do just the regular action movies that aren't like Black Rain's fine, Roadhouse is not.
Right.
No Tango and Cash. So I'll give you first pick.
Okay. My first pick would be Cyborg.
Yep.
Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, because that script was Masters of the Universe Part 2. And then Masters of the Universe didn't do so well, so they just dropped it and made it into Cyborg.
With Fender.
Yeah, but they reused a lot of the costumes and props from Masters of the Universe. If you watch Cyborg, you can play I Spy with Masters of the Universe props.
Ooh. I like that. Now, it's a monster movie, but can I take Leviathan? Because there is action in it.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
No. Let's see. I can do better. Next of Kin. I really put myself in a corner here. Best of the Best, Old Gringo, Savage Beach. Oh my God. Oh, The Punisher.
Oh, man. So this movie came out the same year as The Punisher?
Yeah.
So it could have been Daredevil.
Wait, we just went full Universal Soldier too.
Did.
All right, so I'll take The Punisher.
Okay. So I will go Best of the Best.
Yeah.
Because I straight up love that movie.
That's a good one. Now, are you going to allow me to take this one? I would love to take The Killer from '89. It's a classic, but not many people know it. But I can leave it out because it's a classic.
No, I think you go for it.
Okay. Because I love me some John, but it's not, The Killer's great. But I think more people talk about Hard Boiled or Face Off when they talk about John Woo.
Am I allowed to take Casualties of War? Or is
Yes.
that too?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, Casualties of War would be my third one.
Oh, there we go. Michael J. Fox.
And Sean Penn.
Casualties. Is No Holds Barred an action film?
There's action in it.
No, I'll take Renegades.
Renegades.
Sutherland. Got oh gosh, who else? Who else is in it? Why am I forgetting his name? The Young Guns cast.
Oh yeah, all of them.
Lou Diamond Phillips. So I'm gonna take Renegades.
All right, I'm gonna take Lockup.
Oh.
Because this is a Stallone movie, but it's like an under the radar Stallone movie.
Yeah. No one talks about Lockup.
But they should.
You're a Lockup guy?
Yeah. Oh, I love like B Stallone. So like, Lockup, Over the Top, like all those movies.
Oh, is Red Scorpion famous?
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Okay, so I'm gonna take Red Scorpion.
That's a great pull.
I love Red Scorpion. The movie's insane.
Right. Are you ready for this? That's more of a horror movie.
Well, do it. What is it?
The Return of the Swamp Thing.
I mean, what do you think?
I
trust you.
Well, it's listed as action adventure, not a horror. The first one was a horror movie because of Wes Craven. This was more of an action adventure.
All right. So what's the name of it again?
Return of Swamp Thing.
Return of Swamp Thing. I love it. Oh man, there's that Jay Leno action movie in this year too. You know what I'm talking about? Collision Course?
Yeah. He loves cars.
So I get this. I get the last pick. There's a lot to pick from. There's a lot left. Wait, there's a movie called Night of the Sharks.
Why aren't we watching that movie right now?
Starring Treat Williams?
I've never even heard of that.
David must fight for his life against the gangsters who killed his brother for a CD filled with proof of their illegal activities. When David gets possession of the CD, they go down to Mexico where David lives as a shark hunter. Who will get David first, the gangsters or the shark?
I love that.
Night of the Shark. It's on Tubi.
Oh, watching it tonight, FYI.
All right, Night of the Sharks. I'm gonna take that one. This one was fun. This pushed me. This pushed us to our limits.
Well, I think you were just like, here's an idea, and then both of us were like, we can do that, and then like, what can we?
And then we rallied.
Like, 1 billion movies came out in 1989. Like, there's so many of them.
I doubted myself for a little bit there, then I rallied. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of us.
That was a good rally. We did well.
So you have Cyborg, Best of the Best, Casualties of War, Lockup, and Return of Swamp Thing. I have The Punisher, The Killer, Renegades, Red Scorpion, and Night of the Sharks.
Those are all fantastic.
Night of the Sharks. There's got to be like a special edition Blu-ray out there.
Yeah.
This is good podcasting right here, my friend.
Yeah, we're Googling stuff.
So it says 1988. Oh, in Italy, but it came out in the States. So in 1989. So that's why I'm saying 1980. That one.
Mark.
What?
Did you know that there's a Richard Dreyfuss and Terry Garr movie with Jennifer Tilly that came out in 1989 called Let It Ride?
No. That's my moniker, everybody, whenever I do a game show or a game night. Yeah,
whenever we play games, like we have like an online games night, and Mark does something I don't want to say unwise, but like risky. He's just like, let it ride. And this has become a catchphrase of his. And I feel like we all need to let it ride.
I've let people, like, so I did this thing called Lamperty, and you can listen to episodes where it's movie bloggers take part in a Jeopardy thing, but it's all movie trivia. Yeah. And every time I get a daily double, I let it ride. Everything. And so I create this weird contagious feeling on set where people are just letting it ride on it. Like everyone's just going for it. And the person let it ride and won the whole thing, so I'm proud of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, but this was great, man. And we talked about GoFigure, but where can people find GoFigure?
Yeah, so if you go just on YouTube, GoFigure, and it's all one word. And if you like vintage toys from the 80s, late 70s, and early 90s, and I talk about them, I fix them up, I do all kinds of fun stuff. And we're doing some stuff with other channels, doing some collaborations that are a lot of fun. Or you can find me on Instagram or just take pictures of the toys that I fixed up. And we have a lot of fun there. So if you take yourself too seriously, maybe find a new channel. If you like to have fun, this is the place for it.
I feel like if you listen to MFF, you'll be on the vibe of GoFigure.
Right. We're not discussing like the inner workings of Hasbro.
No, but it's great though, man. It's like I love it. You make things and you
Yeah.
fix things, and there's a product at the end of your episodes. I don't like shows where there's no product at the end of it. And there's no drama. I hate forced drama. You never go, huh, and then a commercial comes up.
No, I just like the
Something
product.
breaks in the background, you go, huh.
Yeah, what's gonna happen when we come back? No, I've always like I love the show and I love doing it and I love that people love it. And you know, I think that we in this online content world can sometimes do things to like feed algorithms and to get numbers and likes and build our following. Where I'm just like, I'm gonna do what I love, and if people love watching it, that's great. And then we're gonna build a small and organic following that'll eventually grow. So I'm just gonna keep doing my thing.
You're gonna be too big for MFF soon, man. It's gonna be a sad day.
Oh, stop! That's a lie.
You're gonna send me off with like a stick and a handkerchief and like my mic, and I'm just gonna be walking away.
Never.
Right. Well, hey man, this was awesome, dude. And yeah, you're a long time MFFer, man. So thanks for coming back and doing Blind Fury with us. We finally got to it.
It's literally one of my favorite things to do.
All right, man. Well, for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, and for Adam Hodgins, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.